hook up a new song here. Gonna do it on live video. I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna make like an ambient beauty track. I don't know what I'm gonna do here. This is probably gonna be like an hour-long video. I'm gonna show how to make a song start to finish. Probably gonna start with a pad, so like maybe phasic anomaly here. I'm gonna do it in a major key with like some chromatic notes. I don't really know how to explain, so like, if you ever want to work in a DAW or you're interested in music production, um, the thing you have to comprehend the most if you're making a musical melodic song is you have to figure out which key you're in and then ascend or descend based on the melodies you want to create. So typically I start a song with like a lead melody, even if it's a pad, even if it's something soft, and then that decides the rest of the song. I'm 150 songs in now with like over 400 projects, and these programs, they just allow so much creativity, and it's such a great hobby. I really encourage people to get into this, especially if you love music. Going with some higher notes here, higher octave. I always find that when you're working the piano roll, the last bar, like either 4 and 5 here, or 8 and 9, it's the hardest to fill in. You have to really close out your melody or your loop and create something memorable and something catchy. And you can really fade off towards the end of creating a piano pattern. So I'm going to paint this in my playlist here, which so in FL Studio, and you can download a free trial of this. So if you watch the video and you want to sort of follow along, I built this first pattern with phasic anomaly. You go to patterns, insert one, or you just use the existing pattern. I'm going to rename this to Flex 1. You either go to Flex, Citrus. I have the producer's edition, so this includes like, I have 3x oscillator flex. I don't have harmless GMS. I don't have toxic biohazard or transistor bass. You can use them for free, you just can't export a song with them. And I find that, I don't upgrade because I don't really like these other plugins. I don't really have a use for them. Transistor bass, I just find that Flex has better bass. And it comes with my additions, so I don't really have any way to show people how to use like some of these more like, some of them are like Moogs, like Harmless is kind of like a Moog, and I just kind of like get what I need through the rest of the program. So I'm going to play this and listen to what it sounded like. Got like G notes to it. Lots of G. It's got like G roots to it. There's no other way to describe that. So I'm going to come in immediately with a kick, and I'm going to make this sort of like, give this a beat to it. So I'm just going to do a straight like 1/4 kick. I'm going to do it right here. I usually EQ as I go. A lot of these sounds, they're very default. They're very like classic default sounds, and you have to use like a maximizer on them called Maximus. And I also use frequency splitter and what's the other one here? Um, Sometimes EQO or parametric EQ, but I find that Maximus you can edit the tension, which is I'll get to that later. So this kick's going to be a little weak. That kick actually, I might not even edit the kick. Sometimes the default 808 kick is really the best kick. These ones are more like, they're kind of like, more like dub kicks. See, like that one. It's just not the right one. I think I'm actually going to use fruit kick. That would probably be better. I'll make my own kick. Default for now. And this is just going to be like kind of a nondescript song that I make. I'm going to come in with a pad from Citrus to sort of cover this one up. If you have these sounds by themselves, they're very transparent. They're very, they sort of show themselves. So typically, I'm just going to build like a pad. Gonna make some chords. This is like like an F4. Sound for this. I've used so many of these pads. I'm trying to keep it like fresh and new. This one's pretty good. But I don't think I'm going to edit that. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So I'm going to paint that onto my playlist. I don't think I'm going to run through a whole song in one video, but I'm just like sort of showing the fundamentals of how to build a song in FL Studio. So you pull it up, and your frequencies are split into low, mid, and high. And they don't really mix. You're editing them sort of individually. I'm not going to mess with the lows on an ambient sound. I'm just going to go up to highs here. Let me go back to this sound. You ideally want to do this to every one of your chains, every one of your patterns. If you really want your song to pop and have sort of that crispiness to it, you need to EQ every single track. It's not that complicated to do. In this particular instance, you want to edit the tensions, like the point-to-point tension, which basically just increases the volume of the frequency. And then I sometimes go into the master, and I don't do too much in the master. Like, maybe I'll up the sustain on this one a little bit. And now that pops in the track. I'm going to add like a drum fill to this. Drums are really fun. Drums are my favorite part of FL Studio. With a hi-hat, and that's going to fill in for the transition to a full drum beat, and it's going to be like so I'm going to build that. Put in the snare fill here, so it's going to be like which is just this. Pick a new snare. Maybe chromos. I'll EQ the drums after I finish building a pattern. Drum 1 full. Straight kick. I have to go back to my fruit kick. Dun 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 dun. So I have the dun dun here. And that's the whole pattern. And then a clap. I'm going to use cat lead, which is my favorite sound in all of the world. I'm going to. It's going to be like do 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 do. That's my lead for like sort of the like the X prize, like the intro prize, like the this is now the full song. They're always really cool to have, gives the track sort of like texture and gives it sort of vibrancy, and I you know, that's basically like a whole song. Like I just showed you can make this in like 10 minutes. You can like literally produce a track that is uploadable to DistroKid or to Spotify or to Apple Music, and it takes you less than like maybe 2 or 3 hours to fully export a song. And I would continue on like this, add like a bridge. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this. This is just sort of like I said, a default track. You can do a lot more like complicated fancy stuff like color mapping or like adding filters, but there's really no need with these sounds. They're really clean on their own. I get really funky with this stuff sometimes, and I really go with like controllers and mess with like you know, EQs. But this is just sort of like, I don't know, I'm just kind of bored, and I wanted to show some of how FL Studio is actually the easiest program to use in the world, and how anybody can make a song. So I'm going to play this one more time, and I'll let it play a few times. much just extend that and add like a few more things, and then like have it fade out with some of the tracks cutting out, and then around like maybe 80 bars, you can just end it with like maybe a piano measure or like maybe some vocals or whatever you want to do, and that's a freaking track, dude. Have a good one.